I'm going to take something a blogger said. Now, I know it's different from what you're doing with your screenplay, but I read Medium.com a lot, and there's a gentleman on there named John Westenberg, and he publishes a lot of his blogs. And his latest blog from the other day was, "My secret to publishing every single day, I stick to 3 drafts." And he says, I realize, here are his tips, I'm sorry. He said, "I only ever allow myself 3 drafts on any blog post. This rule stops me from chasing perfection. It stops me from second guessing. It makes me think carefully about what I'm doing, and it stops me from rambling pointlessly." So I know 3 drafts for a screenplay is different, but are there certain rules where you say, okay, I have to stop at this because we're just kind of just...
We stop when we're on deadline.
Yeah. There's always that point, like before we have to turn it in, there's like, okay, and then you just back engineer it. You're like, okay, here's where we're going to have to turn it in. So here's where we're going to have to send it to my mom to spell check. No,
or somebody.
Whose deadline? Yeah, by the way, who is looking at it?
Well, the deadline that we're looking at right now is a Dream Ago deadline. And that is after we finished the Switzerland process. They gave us all of these notes because they chose our script because it was awesome, clearly, but they also chose our script because they feel like it has the potential to be more awesome. And, so they give you a lot to do. And so they aren't necessarily picking you because they think you're ready and you're complete and it's the best thing ever. They're picking it for its promise, and maybe it's something that they can kind of nurture as they go along. So you get 2 months after the end of the Switzerland thing to revise. You've taken in all of the wisdom, and you revise. July 31st is the deadline, and if at that point they're feeling like it's ready to show producers or whatever, then they'll come out for AFM, and they try to set up a few meetings if they can for you, and it's called Meet Your Match. And I'm not sure how formal it is, but we'd like for it to be ready for that, because that would be a great opportunity. And if they don't feel like it's ready at that point, then you can try for another year and turn it in. But because we're celebrating our 3-year anniversary, I think we'd really like to have a good revision.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, John
Westenberg, and it's Jon and then Westenberg.com.
Oh yeah. Well, I think John Westenberg's 3 drafts for a blog post is just about perfect. I usually send it after 2, and then I see it and have to go back and do another pass because I'm appalled that I've sent it out with so many typos. But it's enough to kind of keep the voice. You do it, and then you let a day pass or whatever. You can kind of go and start cut a few things out so that you don't ramble too much. And then that 3rd thing, I think that's about perfect. But I think it's hard with a screenplay. There's some quote about it that, it's never done until it gets made, and then it's done when somebody rips it out of your hands.
Right.
Is basically when it's done.
Yeah, and I think that even talking to documentary filmmakers or other filmmakers, it really is, in terms of the collaborative process, it's still going on, because even after we finish this draft, there will be notes that we will get from other people or producers or director, and so the process is done when it goes to screen, because there's the editing process that then goes on after we've written it and we've shot it. So understanding all that, from a screenwriting standpoint, though, for us, it does tend to be, we have been pretty much all 3 years we've been working on it on deadline for something, either a competition, or our producing partner has a deadline where he would like to see, a certain thing done. So we've tended to write to deadline most.
Yeah, you don't always know you're writing to deadline at the beginning. You're like, oh, we have so much time, we're just writing. And then the deadline gets closer and closer and you're writing to deadline.
There are times when I'm ramped and she's busy, or times that she's ready to go and I've got stuff. And so I think we are able to balance the different parts of this partnership in ways that when I have to slack off, she can pick it up. When she can't work, I'm on the go with it. So, you know, it's like, I think we have a yin and yang about us that seems to work. And, you know, Barrington has an outside work life. My work life is here. And so I can move and flow in a different kind of way. I can edit in the morning. I can edit at night. I can edit during the middle of the day. She has to be someplace from 12 to 5. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we respect and honor that because that's how she makes her money. That's how she pays her bills. And so for me, it's easier because I'm not beholden to a particular place. Mm-hmm. So, but then Barrington's got the energy of that little bunny with the batteries.
I've pretty good, like, you know, once I'm on task, I have a certain amount of persistence for that. And I think you don't really know what's slowing you down. Sometimes I'm sure it works both ways. I think, you know, sometimes Janice will be working on something that maybe feels like it's a little bit off topic or something, and I tend to, you know, and I'm always trying to like pare away and like, you know, I have less patience for that kind of thing because I'm like, I want to be writing. And so like, I'm tired of talking about things. I want to be writing. But she's like, but wait, I need to tell you this. And also it made me think about this. And I'm like, it's too much. But then when you get to the page, you never know what you might need, you know? And so sometimes like things that I was impatient in the moment about, I'm like, oh, that little detail is totally going to make it. So, and you don't know how long it would have taken you to come up with that if you hadn't, you know, taken the time to do that groundwork. So, yeah. So it's just a time-consuming process. Writing a screenplay is a time-consuming process.